scaling the business, from going from being on the truck to now, running your business rather than actually working the business. How do you manage that? And like, how did you make that transition happen?
That transition's oftentimes not very smooth. Most of the time people do it too slowly, but sometimes you can actually do it too fast and you wound up kind of taking a few steps backwards before take enough steps forward. So the way I did it, it actually worked out pretty good with junk doctors. I've made a mistake a little bit with JRA and with STB on not quite timing that, turning some stuff over to somebody else a little too soon, or maybe before they were quite ready, while I was trying to kind of free up my time on some of the, like, working on inside of the business type of things. And that kind of bit me. But with junk removal, it's also a little easier with junk removal. So, I mean, obviously the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get somebody trained up to be able to quote the job. So, once they can quote and start driving, then you're freed up a lot. So at that point, you can focus in on networking events, which is big for us. Rotary clubs, Chamber of Commerce's, just kind of building up our name.
Lee, let me stop you right there. So let me ask you, how do you go about training that first guy, that's going to be running your day to day and driving in the truck? Like, how did you go about that? Because I'm right around that stage.
Well, I mean, if you're on the truck, it's actually a lot easier than once you're no longer really on the truck. And so if you're on the truck, you just start with that guy you're driving and he's riding with you. And you basically do several jobs where you're doing the quoting and he's just watching. And then you start basically saying, hey, all right, bring him to the side. What do you think this is? And he'll come up with something or another. And you'll say, I think you're a little off right here. It's probably this. Why do you ask him, why do you think it was this amount? And you try and figure out what he would miss. And before you know it, he's going to start nailing it pretty good. And once he gets to the point where he's nailing, 9 out of 10 quotes, he's probably ready. You're going to miss one every once in a while. But at that point, they're pretty ready. And then you're working on the selling side of things all the time. So explaining that estimate, dealing with objections, and role playing is the best way to do that. They hear you doing it actually with the customer, but you don't want them practicing on the customer. So at that point, what I was doing back then is I didn't do a lot of role playing initially. That's something I picked up later on. But if I was doing it again, what I would do is driving down the road when you got that windshield time, I'd sit there and we just go back and forth like, hey, if the customer says this, what do you say? If, that I would just go through the different scenarios and just get to the point where it was almost natural to them and let them just kind of prove it out to you. And then all of a sudden, then you're going to transition into driving, and that can be a little nerve wracking depending on their experience.
Yeah.
But you get that right. I have cameras in all our vehicles and we monitor it, and it actually monitors driving habits and it rates people on how good they are. And if there's issues.
What is that system? What is it called?
Man, we go through a company called Blue Arrow Telematics. That's actually local here. I believe the camera system is called Surf Sight. There's two of them. There's Surf Sight and there's something else, but you can look it up online. And the system that you want is a camera that faces both outside the vehicle as well as inside. It's got AI in it, so it'll monitor driving habits. It's got GPS tracker and all as well. And then what we do, since we have multiple drivers, is every driver has their own key card, and there's a thing they scan. Once you get in the truck, it scans it, and then that tells the system what driver it is. And you can't start the truck until you scan that card.
Oh, that's genius. I like this. This is definitely something. Do you pay a monthly fee on that?
It's not a lot, man. It's so you have to pay for cell service is basically the main thing you do. So, I mean, the camera system itself is maybe $1,700 or something like that. It's not a whole lot. And then you pay maybe $70 a month or something for the cell service, basically, which is, that way you can have live view and kind of see what's going on.
How long, like in general, because I know it's going to be different for everybody, but like for like the average, how long does it take you to train somebody that they'll be able to, run their own truck?
Honestly, man, I mean, 30 days, you can get somebody that's doing pretty well. If you take 60 days, they should know the job really, really well at that point. And of course, that depends on how much work you're doing. I mean, if you're doing 5 jobs a day, 6 days a week, they're going to pick up on it pretty quick. If you're only doing, a job or 2 a day, then it's going to take a little longer.
Now, do you let the employees take the truck home, or
they all come back to a central location?
Okay.